After playing a way out at It Takes Two in 2023, my girlfriend and I were very eager for another game from Hazelight Studios. So when Split Fiction was announced for 2025, we were hyped and instantly on board. We both really enjoyed their unique split-screen story-centric adventures, and were excited to see that this new game looked like it would continue the wackiness and creativity of It Takes Two. The concept of getting to experience two very different authors' worlds seemed very exciting and ripe with potential, and I was definitely excited to see how this game compared and contrasted with their previous games, and hoped it would live up to the quality of It Takes Two. And I have to say, we both had another great time here, and they definitely knocked it out of the park again with Split Fiction. If you're unfamiliar with Hazelight's previous games, Split Fiction is a split-screen co-op game, where you and your gaming partner each pick one of the two characters to play through the story, and have to work together to get through the challenges in the game, whether it's an action sequence or puzzle. The premise of the game is the two main characters, Mio and Zoe, are unpublished authors who have gotten a deal with a tech company to get their ideas published in a new immersive experience. However, in an accident, Mio ends up in Zoe's bubble, and they both had to overcome their differences and work together getting through their story ideas to try and escape the machine. My girlfriend chose to play as Zoe, who loves fantasy, and I played as Mio, who has an affinity for sci-fi. It was definitely fun jumping between these two very different genres, and they were definitely a fun and creative gateway into learning more about the lives of the characters on the outside too. Their differing personalities even influences the gameplay a bit, as Mio's stories tended to have more edge to them with a focus on action, while Zoe's were more whimsical and have a larger focus on puzzles. I did notice at first the structure of the story starts similarly to their previous games, where the two characters are polar opposites and start off on abrasive terms with each other. But this formula definitely works for them, and we were definitely engaged seeing them learn to appreciate each other's ideas and personality. There are a lot of fun, sweet, and emotional moments that always had us anticipating what would come next. I won't dive too much more into the story so you can experience it for yourself, but I definitely like how they play with the formula of the game as it goes, and the climax of the game is just... The gameplay of the game is fantastic again too, and my girlfriend and I were definitely having a blast the 16 hours and 39 minutes it took us to get through. You both control your characters from a third-person perspective, and generally each have your own split screen to view, but on occasion the game will merge your screens together. The game is very platforming focused, with lots of sections for action and puzzles. Most of the game involves larger segments where you alternate between one of Mio's sci-fi stories, then into one of Zoe's fantasy stories. It's also structured in a similar way to It Takes Two, where each segment of the game you each get a fun and unique ability based on the world you're in. There are a lot of creative and fun ideas with them that really meld well with the sci-fi and fantasy elements, and it's fun learning how to use your differing abilities together. And these abilities are also ripe with potential to mess around with each other too. The game definitely does a good job of exploring these abilities just like It Takes Two, and not overdoing them before moving on to the next segment. While going through the main sections of the game, there are also optional side stories of the characters' smaller, less developed ideas for you to hop into and experience. Most of these are easy to find, and the characters will point them out, but sometimes it'll require some searching and going out of your way to find. But even then, we only missed one during our main playthrough. There's no reward for doing these besides achievements, but they're definitely worth doing though, because they're a lot of fun and definitely changes things up from the normal gameplay while providing some fun character moments. Some have you compete against each other, some have thrilling set pieces for you to go through, and some have imaginative worlds for you to mess around in and explore for a short time. These side stories can get really wacky and out there too. They also add a nice change of pace by switching to the opposite genre of whichever main segment you're in. We were always excited to come across these as we played, and they definitely were one of the highlights of the game. Given I've played Hazelight's previous two games, I can't help but compare it to them, particularly It Takes Two. It definitely shares a creative spirit with It Takes Two, and has you playing through many imaginative and wacky scenarios again, which I love. It plays identically to It Takes Two control-wise as well, and has a very similar structure and length. While both games are rather linear, it did feel Split Fiction had less open sections for you to explore and discover things compared to It Takes Two, but it still did on occasion have areas like that, particularly in a couple of the side stories. But even though they were very much sticking close to what they did with It Takes Two, it does feel like it has a blend of A Way Out too, with its action-packed, higher-stakes story and cinematic feel. The game does have a bit of its own flair though. While the other two have a bunch of action, this one definitely felt like the most action-packed of the bunch. As a result, it does feel like a step up in difficulty from It Takes Two a bit. Nothing outrageous, and it still is very forgiving with your deaths. But we definitely had moments of struggle here and there, particularly with some of the vehicle segments and boss fights. I do feel this is their strongest game artistically too so far. There are a lot of different worlds here that are all visually striking. The game really utilizes blending in and out of split screen and sharing a screen together to great effect here, and creating some really amazing shots that blew me away. It really does feel they're still experimenting a lot with the split screen potential, especially later in the game, and it creates a lot of memorable moments from both a gameplay and cinematic perspective that makes this game stand out as a unique experience. Split Fiction is very much another fantastic co-op game from Hazelight, and it definitely lived up to our expectations. I'd say it's very much on par in quality to It Takes Two, and if you enjoyed that game, then you'll be in for a good time with this game too. And even if you haven't played any of their games before, I highly recommend it, as this would still be an excellent game to play co-op with a significant other, friend, or whomever you wish to play it with. It's definitely a grand and wild ride, and it's great because you get to share the experience with someone else. My girlfriend and I had a super fun time and created a lot of memories playing this together, and I really love playing these games with her. Just like It Takes Two, I think it would be a fun one to return to again someday, to play the other character, since the experience would be super different. This game definitely made me even more a fan of Hazelight, and I know I'll be eagerly awaiting again with my girlfriend for their next game whenever that may be. Thank you all for watching. If you're interested in hearing my thoughts on A Way Out and It Takes Two, I also have videos reviewing them as well. And if you're interested in seeing more of my past and future videos in general, you should press on that subscribe button. Hope to see you all more next time.
Your meter has officially expired.
How do we fight back? Have some patience.
Let's do a crash test.